High block. Right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Kind of start everything from there. If an attack is coming into the top of your head, let's talk about the scenario for a second. My opponent is across from me. They are close enough where they can step forward and hit me in the head. I want to go in a middle guard, let's say. So now my blade is out into their face. Well, if they want to step forward and they are here in a high guard, right, they're going to come down and smack me in the top of the head, right? If they're there and my blade's out and they want to walk forward, come on, walk forward into my blade. I don't care, right? So I want to trigger them. So I want to change my guard. So I want to drop down to a low guard. I might bring my arms all the way in. I might keep my arms forward. I can rotate my arms to the side. I can be left foot forward and move into a rear low guard. Something that draws my opponents into their cuts, makes them convince them that, yeah, that was a good strategy. I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit him in the head, because my first reaction is the highest probability attack they're going to do. And we talked about probability on Tuesday, right? If they're in this guard, the highest probability attack they're going to throw is straight down to the top of my head. Cool. I'm going to block that because I'm going to plan for that cut, because I'm going to give you my head, and I'm going to do, well, I'm left foot forward, so I'll do an outside high block. Bang. So I'm going to step up and block. Back to guard, pull back into a low guard, high block. Now, the angle of my blade, anything from horizontal to a descending angle is great, because when they hit, they will glance off. Now, I happen to have a hand guard here. If my blade is pointing up and they hit and glance down, they're going to come into my hands or into my head, and I don't want that, right? So every time I step out, the trick is not to think about raising the blade up to block. The trick is to think about moving your hands up. So all I'm doing is raising my hands up over my head and off. I don't want my hands, I don't want the hilt over my head, because this isn't protecting from anything. This is protective. The other key thing is my footwork, right? You can see my head's aligned pretty much right in the center of the screen right now. As I step over, my head moves off that line of attack, right? So my footwork keeps me safe. My blade interrupts their attack and their pattern, right? So if I give them my head, block, counterattack, and strike. And one of our first one steps, and if we can get somebody else in here over the next week or so, and we're allowed to do that, even though we usually keep 6 feet because we got a sword of some kind or a saber of some kind in our hands, we'll do that partner drill, and that one step we call it, right? So it's parry, strike to the wrist, right? So what was that? Left foot forward. I'll stay right foot forward for now. Right foot forward, inside high block, outside high block, stepping to the outside of my body, outside high block, down. Once you're here, right, it's a lever. Pull this lever, bring yourself back into guard, move these toes to point towards your opponent, and you will hit your opponent. Now, if you step laterally with that parry and don't step into my opponent's space and they don't advance forward, right, you're going to stay out of their measure, and their available target is going to be their hands, right? If I do my parry and I step into my opponent and I come across, their head is going to be in range, but their blade is also going to be in your measure to hit you back, right? And when someone misses, the first thing they do is turn and strike, right? So it's a natural reflexive action. So where was I going with that? High blocks, right? Use the high block to maintain measure to your opponent and to set yourself up for your counterattack. Every parry you do, every block or every interruption to your opponent's action you do is to set yourself up for your counterattack, right? Or to put your opponent where you want them to be so your counterattack is more effective.